us is the Ford Everest Sport. Let's do a review. The Ford Everest is all new for 2023 and we finally got our hands on it. And of course, madali for us to see what's better and not because we have a 2020 model in our long-term fleet. So this is the mid-spec Everest Sport 4x2 2.0 6-speed automatic and it's priced at 2,089,000 Philippine pesos. Medyo malaki yung tinaas but let's see kung worth it. So first, before we start, I apologize for the payong because bumabagyo ngayon, but this is our dedication to providing content for you. So anyway, looking at the exterior of the Everest, it's really a tougher, more macho looking design. It looks like the Ford Maverick and the Ford F-150, diba? So here we have Ford signature C-clamp LED headlights, LED daytime running lights rather, with multi-reflector LED headlight and cornering lights pa dito. And then, since this is the Sport, we have the blacked out front grille. And other variants, this is chrome. And we also have the blacked out Ford logo, which I'm not sure if dito lang siya, but at least we know that this has that. And then the Everest name spelled out over here. So you don't need to purchase that anymore sa mga other shops. Then moving below, we have this blacked out piece then over here and LED fog lights. And then by the way, forgot to mention that this design change is a revolution, diba? Hindi lang siya basta-basta evolution. But here on the side, yun, evolution siya here. So the body style looks really similar to the previous generation Everest. But I'm not complaining because it still looks really good. And since this is the Sport then, we have various blacked out pieces all over. Starting from the 20-inch wheels, which are wrapped in 255/55 Goodyear Wrangler Territory tires. And these are the same wheels you'll find in the titanium variants. And it looks really good, especially in black. And then over here, we have this garnish that says turbo. I'm not sure what it says in the higher variant by turbo, but at least we have that. And it's a fake vent, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe it could be real, I don't know. And then we have blacked out side mirrors. This is chrome in other variants. The Sport badge, now badge na yan, hindi na siya decal lang. So, hindi na siya yung parang afterthought. And then of course, blacked out door handles, and then blacked out na rin yung surrounds ng windows. And yeah, that's pretty much it here for the side. So now let's go to the back. This is my favorite part of the Everest, and as you can see, wala. This really looks good in my opinion. Lalo na when the taillights are on, as you just saw. So anyway, these are LED taillights. They're not full LED unfortunately, so we still have halogen turn signals, but that's okay I guess. If I were to buy one, I'd upgrade it para full LED na siya. Anyway, so these taillights are connected by this clear plastic piece that looks really good. It looks premium, I guess. And it says Everest inside. Then also, again, the black Ford logo, which looks really nice as well. Then, unlike before, wala na dito yung pang-open ng tailgate. So now, of course, you can do the hands-free if it works. Yan na lang. Diba? It works. So anyway, when we're inside, you'll see we have here a pet carrier. But anyway, so we don't have the exact numbers, but in my opinion, one of the Everest has one of the biggest cargo spaces, or rather cargo space in the segment, especially now that the third row seats are folded down, and they're also very flat. Then we also have this slight lip here, but it's not a problem. It actually makes it safer, so items won't fall down. Then storage under the floor. Then when the seats are folded up, you still have decent space, maybe around for 2 luggage and a couple of bags maybe. So now, let's maybe go inside para hindi na tayo mabasa, diba? Tara. Now inside, the Everest is a lot more tech-filled, more modern than before. So, well, honestly, the old Everest didn't have a bad interior at all, and this one takes it even further. Obviously, we have the same dashboard design as the Ranger. Materials are definitely good. Typical naman yan sa mga Ford. So we have soft touch materials here, that one, and then hard touch plastic on top. Soft touch here in the door as well, which is new. Before, this is hard touch plastic, and now it's soft, a really soft material. What I do think is a downgrade lang is the hard touch plastic I mentioned up here, because in the previous generation, we had leather completely covering the dashboard. Now, we're stuck to just the portions nearest to the person. Also, we noticed a couple of gaps here in the interior, the dashboard, yung mga plastic. So like here, in the steering wheel, we have some ugly gaps that aren't exactly good to look at, especially if you're seated here in the passenger seat. But anyway, that could be just specific to this unit. Then moving on to the steering wheel, we have this really nice new steering wheel. It's leather wrapped, of course, on all variants, by the way. And then it's 3-spoke na lang, dati 4-spoke. And we have a really nice sounding horn. Yeah, so that's good. Then we have here controls for our cruise control. We have a speed limiter, audio, controls for the instrument cluster, which we'll talk about in just a bit. And the best part about this new steering wheel is that it's now telescopic. So the previous generation, Everest, and even the Ranger didn't have this. Now let's go to the tech features. So first is the instrument cluster. So we have an 8-inch fully digital display here. So this is standard in all variants except the top of the line, which gets a bigger one if I'm not mistaken. And of course, it shows lots of information. We have our digital speedometer, also digital tach. We have our oil temperature, of course, our fuel and engine temperature. And then we can also change the view. So daming info dito. It's really easy to navigate, unlike some other digital instrument clusters. And then of course, the best part again, well, not again, but another really good part of this new Everest is the infotainment. So honestly, I'm not a fan, but it's really good. This is a 10-inch portrait touchscreen infotainment system with Ford Sync 4A interface. So it's really responsive. That's what I love about Ford infotainment. So very easy to press everything. It's talagang responsive siya, and it's easy to use, easy to navigate. So yan, may settings tayo dito. Although at first medyo nakakalula siya, but now I got used to it. I got this yesterday and now I'm pretty much used to using it. What I do find stupid lang, honestly, is the location of the auto hold function, which you have to activate in the screen, not here in the center console. Then of course we have wireless Apple CarPlay, so I'm connected right now and it looks really good and it's well laid out on the screen. And then moving below, also part of the screen are dual zone automatic climate control. So we have our individual temperature controls down here. We have our auto and other standard AC controls. Thankfully, even if they're integrated into the screen, they're quite easy to use. Then below that, we have our physical knobs and buttons for both the climate control and volume. So at least, even if they went all out with the screen, we still have a volume knob. And of course, yung mga temperature natin for the climate control. Then Ford has also improved the storage here. So we have a new spot in the dashboard, similar to other SUVs. Then of course, we have our glove compartment. Then we have new cup holder. So I'll try to reach over for that. It's a pop-out cup holder, which any SUV owners want to have. So moving down, we have a wireless phone charger here. Some storage, maybe we can put our key. So let's just get that. Ayan. Let's transfer it down here. Ayan. So we have a place to put our key. And then we also have 2 USB ports, 1 USB-C and 1 regular USB-A port. Then some more storage down here. We can put here siguro cards, so or candy, mint. Yan. Then 2 cup holders. Then we have this round storage here. This is where the knob is supposed to be for your 4x4 system. I talked to Ju of Soju Cars and he calls this the muffin holder. Then we have the shifter here. This is still the typical shifter from before. It's really old na, honestly. But it still works well and it feels really good quality. I'm still not a fan though of the plus and minus buttons used to manually shift. Then we have the electronic parking brake down here. And like I said, I'm not a fan of how the auto hold function is located on the screen. It should be over here. Then moving further back, we have our drive mode selector. We have some blank buttons, so that's expected from a variant, mid variant. Then our parking sensor button and stability control off, or rather traction control. Then, like you probably already saw, we have this armrest and deep storage inside. So, yeah, that's how deep it is. And of course, a tray on top. You can put our power bank, your seat, your cards. Yeah. And then another huge improvement with the new Everest are the seats. So they're really comfy, they hug you well in place, and also they're wrapped in leather. Then since this is the Sport, it says Sport right here. And another good thing about them is that both front seats are 8-way power adjustable in this variant. So kung anong controls ni driver, that's the same controls for the passenger. And then before we go to the back, I just want to say how I wish that Ford did a little bit more to distinguish this interior from other variants. So, because the previous generation had unique bits and pieces that would tell you that you're using a sport. So, like, it had blue stitching, some blue accents. This one doesn't have any of those. We have black stitching on the steering wheel, black stitching on the seats, black stitching on the dashboard. I wish that Ford would update this and give us a little bit more blue to match the sport. So now we're at the second row, and as you can see, space is really good. It's even better than some other PPVs. So this is my driving position. This is set on my driving position. So leg room, pretty good. Really good actually. Foot room is just right, but I had the seat set on a lower position. So that might be the reason why my feet are a bit tight. But anyway, we can fit 3 adults here for sure that are around my size and around 5'7", and headroom is also really good. Maybe a little bit less for the middle passenger, but that's okay. And then we have 2 air vents and 2 seat back pockets. And also, we also have controls down here for the fan speed of the rear passengers, another USB-C port and USB-A port. So that's pretty good. Then, of course, in the middle, we have a center armrest with pop-out cup holders. Yeah. So now, let's check out the third row. For the third row, the Everest offers similar space to the previous generation. Legroom and headroom are just right for average-sized Filipinos. This is still best reserved for children. Anyway, third row passengers still get air vents, cup holders, and some storage. Okay, so now we're driving the new Everest Sport, and I have to say that I can already feel how much better this one is compared to the previous generation. So again, we have a 2020 model Everest Sport in our fleet. So very familiar ako dun sa previous gen. So that better feeling is despite how they downgraded the specs of this new generation. Still have that same 2-liter single turbo engine, the EcoBlue turbo diesel, and it produces now 170 horsepower and 405 newton meters of torque. So before, that's around 174 or 178 if I'm not mistaken, and 420. And then also the transmission was downgraded to a 6-speed automatic, which if I'm not mistaken is the same one you can find in the 2.2 liter na Everest before. So like before, the Everest doesn't disappoint when it comes to performance. It still feels really good. In fact, as I mentioned, this feels a lot better. So when you accelerate, it's really smooth. Unlike before, dati the old Everest Sport and generally the Everest 2-liter had lots of lag and delay when it comes to shifting. This one is all smooth, it's more responsive, and you can feel it pull even better. And then back to the transmission, since we have less gears now, from 10, we only have 6 now. It's less likely to do gear hunting, which was a huge problem. One of my biggest gripes with the previous generation. And now, we don't have that. And then we also don't have shift shock anymore, so hindi siya yung biglang mag-change gear and then the whole car will jerk. Those days are gone. And then another improvement with this new generation Everest is definitely the steering feel. Before, we had the very light steering, which was actually a really good thing about the Everest. Hindi siya kasing bigat ng mga Montero, Fortuner, x-terra. People actually complained that it was too light. It was okay with me, but yeah, I agree that it was too light. But this time now, they added a little bit more weight, which makes it feel a lot better than it used to be. So now you can feel more confident when taking corners. You can feel, it feels better in general. It's still not heavy, it's still very light, but it's a good kind of light this time. Handling has also been really improved. So I noticed that there's actually a less feeling of body roll now, which of course will make you feel more confident in driving. So that mixed with a little bit more weight in the steering makes it feel a lot better, and you can really feel confident on the road. Ride quality is both an improvement and a little bit of a downgrade. Some people will say that this is more stiff, which I agree, mas matagtag siya ngayon compared to before. But they also improved how the suspension takes bumps. So before, pag dumaan ka sa mga malalalim na lubak, the car will bounce a lot, and it was really annoying for me. But this time, hindi na siya ganon. So when you take a bump, you can really feel how well it's absorbed, especially at lower speeds. Hindi siya yung parang gumaganon-ganon, then you won't end up being like this when you're driving, which is of course thumbs up. NVH installation of course is also good. We have less road noise than before, but the biggest improvement is the engine noise. So the previous generation, the engine sound could really get annoying, especially at lower speeds. This time, you can hardly hear it. In fact, you can only hear it during hard accelerations. Wind noise is a bit more noticeable, especially at higher speeds, but that's expected na rin from an SUV like this. Visibility is also seemingly good, so we sit really up high, so we really have a wide view of the road. Then our windshield, windows, side mirrors are all really big, so it has a very limited blind spot, so you can actually pretty much see everything around you. Then our reverse camera is also okay. It could be improved. The previous generation had a better one, honestly, and the current one it could have better quality sana. So when I first heard that Ford was gonna downgrade the specifications of this model compared to the previous generation, I was a bit skeptic about that. But now that I was able to drive it, it's easy to say how much better it really is. That it's really just a lot better. Yun ang talaga masasabi ko. And if it was a good car to drive before, of course, it's a lot better now. And now in terms of fuel economy, well, of course, I'm gonna say it's another improvement because it really is. If before we were able to average usually around 15 kilometers per liter on the highway and then around 9 or 10 in the city, this time we can average I was able to achieve around 20 kilometers per liter on the highway. Then inside the city naman, I was able to get 12 very easily in moderate traffic conditions. And of course, it's really good because considering how expensive diesel is today, diba? If before diesel was cheap, now it's really expensive.
While so much has improved with the new Everest, there are still some things we wish it would improve. First is Ford's Co-Pilot 360 suite of advanced safety tech, which isn't available with the Everest Sport even at a price of more than $2 million. Other SUVs already have at least one or two of those safety tech at lower prices. Next is build quality. While everything feels solid, some plastic pieces look mismatched as we mentioned earlier. Hopefully, it's limited to this unit. Lastly, hands-free tailgate function still doesn't work that well. Of course, there are lots of things to love now. First is the looks. Ford has given the Everest one of the best looking designs in the segment inside and out. Next is the engine. While it has lower specs as I said, it feels so much better. This is proof that numbers don't determine performance. And finally, comfort. The Ford Everest remains one of the best options for those looking for a pickup-based SUV that provides great comfort.
If you're in the market for a brand new SUV and you want something that's tech-filled, comfortable, looks really good, stands out from the rest of the SUVs, the rest of the competition, the Ford Everest is definitely for you. And I can say that specifically this variant, the Sport, could be one of the better choices. So you should really consider buying one.